We have a lake bed. Let's go ahead and fill it with a lake. In the water task mode, right-click the Lakes category and add component of this type. The lower scene at a glance, slide down to the lake vector, click, drag, and drop it on the lake. Confirm. You'll now see in the Vec editor we have one vector hard linked to this lake. The elevation is currently 0 meters. It's a little low for our scene. So let's go ahead and click and drag in the render along the lake shore here. And you'll see the elevation there shows up in diagnostic data. So we pick something, let's try 2063 meters for an elevation. Save the project. Render a lake view preview. We'd like a little bit more detail here along the beach. So in the lower scene at a glance, slide down to the terrain parameters. There it is. Open that editor. You'll see we have a maximum fractal depth of 0, the lowest it can be. Bring it up to 3, save the project, render it on our preview. That looks good for now. Close out the terrain parameter editor and back in the lake editor, let's look at the beach page. Let's darken the beach a little here. Open the diffuse color editor. And from a swatch, I'm using the rock tone swatch. Go ahead and pick a darker brown. That looks good. Keep it. On the beach height page, change the beach height minimum to 2 meters. Combined with default beach height variation of ½ meter, the beach material will be rendered between 1.5 and 2.5 meters above the lake elevation. Go to the water page and show advanced features. To create different colors for shallow and deep water, we'll use a material gradient driven by water depth. Show material controls and rename the material shallow. Click on the right side of the gradient to add another pin. Let's call that deep. We're going to use a texture to drive the material gradient, so click the texture button, create texture, and that will bring up the texture editor. We want to use water depth to drive the material. So under selected element, go down to dynamic parameter and select as the parameter water depth. We want to go from a low of 0 meters to a high of 30 meters. That means at 0 meters, we'll be at the 0 end of the material gradient. At 30 meters, we'll reach the 100% end. So we'll have shallow material here on the low end, and at 30 meters, we will have deep material, and in between, we'll have a blending. That's all we need to do here in the texture editor, so go ahead and close that out. Show material controls again to hide its window. Select the shallow pin and open its diffuse color editor. If you forget which pin is which, just check the active item window on the animation toolbar. You'll notice we are working with the shallow material. Raise the value to 40 and the green to 100. Close the editor. Increase the optical depth. We're at 1 meter, let's make it 5 meters. That'll make the shallow water more transparent. Save the project. Render a lake view preview. Since our last preview, we had changed the color of the beach, raised the beach, and lightened the shallow water here. To add a little breezy roughness to the shallow water, go to the Waves tab and increase the added roughness to 0.25 meters. Create a texture. And from the selected element drop-down, go with F1 cell basis. Change the X and Y size to 2 meters. To animate the texture, select the Velocity tab and increase the Z velocity to 0.5 meters per second. This will cause the texture to move upward along the Z-axis at 0.5 meter per second. That takes care of the shallow water roughness, so close out Texture Editor. Now this just takes care of the shallow material, so let's go ahead and copy that texture. Click the Texture Operations button and copy texture. And select the deep water pin material. Again, Waves tab, added roughness 0.25. Select the Texture Operations button and paste the texture. Confirm we are copying the roughness texture to the roughness texture. Yes. Save the project. Render a preview. Water surface detail is dependent on terrain resolution and fractal depth. The 10-second Lake View water animation in the VNS3 DVD animation folder shows the water rendered at a maximum fractal depth of 3.